I texted him because I got on really well with a lot of the players there, to be honest. And I texted him saying, Wits, what's the gaffer's number? You know, I didn't even know. The young boys weren't allowed near the gaffer, like, you know. But I was looking at it and I was like, I'm not even on the bench now. Like, you know, like obviously you had, again, under Fowler and Hasselbank, you had McLean, you had Warren Feeney, so they were always going to sort of be involved. But Wicks was like, "Are you sure you want the gaffer's number, Greedy?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's just like, "All right." So I sent him a message, and back then it was frowned upon to text the gaffer. Like gaffers don't read, you know.
Absolute pleasure to welcome Matt Green to the From the Club podcast. Thanks so much for taking the time, Matt.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Oh, Matt, we are really excited to have you with us. You've been in hot demand from all of the Mansfield fans since we interviewed Adam a few months ago. Certified Stags royalty, I think is fair to say.
I was going to say, I might not be as funny as the gaffer Adam, but I'll try my best.
Well, hundreds and hundreds of games played, a great goal scorer record and a scorer of some very important goals as well. What a career it's been, Matt.
Gosh, yes. Looking back, I mean, it was it's great to, you know, looking back on it, I would have given my right arm for, you know, to have the career that I had. I mean, it's it worked out really well. You know, a little bit sticky towards the end of my career, but you know, it was about, you know, resilience and sticking with it and hard work. I think it's probably the bones of it, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we're going to really enjoy unpacking so much of that today. But let's go back to the very beginning. What was life like growing up as a kid?
So life growing up for a kid, I was brought up in between in between Bristol and Bath. It was a small town called Keynsham, and it was kind of there wasn't much hope for football, to be honest, or footballers. I mean, you know, I bang on about it all the time. The Southwest is, you know, it's a big area, but you only have Bristol City and Bristol Rovers, and you know, I don't think the area's ever had a Premiership club unless you go over the water to, you know, Cardiff or Wales, obviously. Um, so it was almost crabs in a bucket, you know, and I got released from Bristol City just before YTS, so it was really kind of all my friends were kind of sort of saying, he's not made the grade, you know. Yeah, I'll be still practicing going on my runs and things like that because I was just so driven, so driven, so driven. And then I'd walk into, you know, the pub at like 18 or something. My mates were just about, you still trying to be a footballer? You still trying to be a footballer, mate? You know, and I was like, yeah, you know, and they're all there with you know, watching the England game or whatever. And I just never give up. Never give up, I think, is the key thing. And you know, I was fortunate enough to go to Cirencester College and stuff like that. But you know, I mean, how far back do you want me to go in terms of growing up? Do you want me to go back childhood or?
Yeah, well, no, you've given us a good feel of it, Matt. I mean, I tell you what, I hope you were able to bump into some of those boys who, who were digging you out in the pub
Yeah,
after all those goals.
I've sort of excuse my French, stuck my V's up to a few people over the years. Do you know what I mean? A lot of doubters, a lot of people that have kind of ripped me off or you know, said I wasn't at it. And you know, at Bristol City, you know, going back to that again, like the reason why they didn't take me on their reason was because I was too small.
Yeah.
Which, you know, you look at it now. I mean, I've turned up, you know, 6'1" with my heels on
Yeah.
now, like, you know, and you know, they couldn't have got it much wrong, but much wrong. But I remember playing against them actually once I got my move to Cardiff, and all the lads that got the YTSs were on the bench of the reserves. I mean, the reserves team back then was so competitive. I mean, we had some great names in our team, and they had some great names in Bristol City. But all the lads that got a YTS, which was almost like the dream, it was always massive heartbreak. You know, they're on 60 quid a week, rolling around Bristol with their Bristol City trackies on. And, you know, I desperately wanted to be there. But yeah, a couple of years later, comes to sort of like, yeah, 19, and we play against them in the reserves. And they're all sat on the bench, the reserves, and I'm playing for Cardiff City reserves, coming on for the first team. So it goes to show as well, like, you know, opinions in the game. You know,
Yeah.
it makes it's about, you know, I say to any young lad now, there's a couple of lads that I'm coaching at the moment. You know, one's 17, and you know, another one that's 22, and I keep saying to him, like, you're on the right journey. I know that it's hard. I know that you just want to move. I know you want a pro club. I know you know you want it all there, but it's a marathon, not a sprint, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think yeah, sort of looking back on that, I'm glad I kept with it, and a massive support from my family as well. My granddad was like, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you strong. I never forget those sayings, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my mum being massive backing all my life, and my dad, you know, letting me go and sort of do what I love. So it was a huge backing from the family, which helps, you know, massively, because you know, if you don't have that sort of support back home, then
Yeah.
you know how you allowed to dream almost. Yeah, I remember I fondly just what was it, parents' evening. The teacher just sort of said he's in a world on his own, world on his own in class. He doesn't care. He's not interested. He needs to just do something serious. He needs to go and do a plumbing apprenticeship. He needs to go and be do a carpenter, or do something like that, you know. And I never forget playing this day. My mum just, you know, chair went out and she said, why are you stopping him from dreaming? If he
Yeah.
wants to dream, let him dream, let him go for it, you know,
Yeah.
because that's what he wants to do. And
Yeah.
ultimately, you know, you know, that was always my drive in the end. You know, I wanted to be, you know, one of the fittest in the teams and the squads after that, and started getting my chance. And because I got kind of written off so many times, I guess that's why when I had the chances to play against, you know, some of the bigger teams later on in my career, I always was the underdog kind of thing. I always
Yeah.
felt like the underdog. So it was almost kind of a mentality of like, why should you be there and me not? You know, yeah, not taking anything away from, you know, some of these lads that have fantastic careers, but I guess it kind of created an underdog kind of mentality in me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, shout out to Mum for all of that
Yeah,
support
Mumsy,
your
yeah,
day.
anytime. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So Matt, as well. I mean, like, you know, it's hard enough sort of taking these knocks when you're a fully grown adult, isn't it? You know, our
Yeah,
age now, but you know, to
yeah.
be a young kid and to, you know, have your dreams in the hands of other people and to be told you're not going to be given
Mhm.
you know, an opportunity at a club.
Yeah.
What sort of support was there for you at that age, and how did you kind of mentally cope with that rejection?
I didn't deal with it too well, to be honest. I remember kind of being put in a shadow squad around about 15, and then they sort of mothered me into going back into grassroots, and I was huffing and puffing a little bit. I mean, I know it sounds crazy because I was growing as well. I kind of lost my pace. My friends that you're in academy with, like, you know, that we would spend every Friday evening sort of around one of each other's houses, you know, kind of, you know, watching, you know, DVDs or whatever. It was all gone. It was all
Yeah,
gone. And all of a sudden I'm kind of faced with this, right, I'm playing with all the lads that, you know, I kind of almost outshone when I was playing with them before. It was the reason why I got to the Bristol City move. Now I'm back with them. It was almost like the parents weren't as sort of looking at me as the same. The lads were just, oh, you're just one of us now, kind of thing. So,
yeah,
which is normal, by the way. This is, you know, I'm not trying to. It's absolutely normal. It's human nature, especially around again the southwest. It's tough mentally. So it really did knock me, but you know, I just kept playing football. I remember dropping back into midfield, and never been a midfielder, but you know, I just
yeah,
kept playing, kept hitting the ball against the wall outside my parents' house, and um, you know, just kept going with it. It was just a real drive within, to be honest. And you know, come 16, then once I did, you know, get released from Bristol, it got to the point of, right, what are you going to do after school? You know, so as you do, you go into the library, you start looking for what you're going to do after, you know, school. I remember doing work experience with my granddad that was a carpenter. I wasn't scared of graft. I mean, you know, to this
Yeah.
day, I still do a bit with my brother and stuff. So I wasn't scared of graft and that, but I think yeah, that's it. Cirencester, one of my good friends back then said, "Oh, you might still have a chance to be a footballer. You know, you might still have a chance to do this." And I was just like, "What? Absolutely! Look, like let's go for it." So you know, haven't come from you know massively you know wealthy you know background or anything like that. I had an opportunity to go to a place called Cirencester College, where it was a chance for me to develop, train every day, and then we would play a pro club on the weekends because we were like in the sort of academy league, but we
Yeah.
were a college. So that ultimately give me, and I never, you know, I always thank those two coaches, Paul Compton and Steve Lomas, because you know they got us really working hard as young boys. I mean, there was a place called the Roman Amphitheatre, and as you can imagine, it's you know
Yeah.
hills, yeah,
Yeah.
massive hills. So you know, I was, yeah, and they would work us. They would work us, and it wasn't just to get physically strong. It was to see if we were mentally tough enough as well. And they both were ex pros, and they were running the college at the time. And it was it was absolutely brilliant because I think the first year I'd done all right. They had a good FA Cup run, and it wasn't until I come back the second year I really shot up, and they were all kind of where this guy's grown about 2 foot since you know because I was just a late developer. I was a late
Yeah.
developer,
Yeah.
and that's when I really kicked on. Really, my second year. That's when I got my England schoolboys, and you know it's funny because people don't understand like the England schoolboys for me was probably a way to the top. You
Yeah.
know, at that time because I had plenty of you know, big clubs looking at me, but I played in a college game and ended up breaking my metatarsal. So, and I had, you know, again, talking about resilience, I had absolutely no help with that. You know, I
Yeah.
remember going to Cirencester first team at the time and asking for a bag of ice, and they were like, go down to hospital kind of thing. It was quite bad when I look back on it. But again, you know, probably, you know, good friends at the time around me, and you know the privilege for playing England I couldn't turn away. So I remember playing against Finland with a broken foot.
Seriously.
Just yeah,
Wow.
mate,
Yeah.
I remember they tested me actually because they could see I was limping a little bit. But I had the number 9 shirt at the time, so I mean that was an honour in itself, like getting the
Yeah.
number 9 shirt. Down at Lilleshall, getting it presented to me, you know. And I was like, I've got to play, I've got to play, I've got to play. So ended up playing, done myself complete unjust. But you know, again, just sort of resilience. And before it, they sort of said, are you sure you're okay? Are you sure, Matt? Like, you don't have to play in this game. Are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And they said, right, can you just sort of kick a few balls then, you know, with this foot? Oh my word. Like he was just sort of volleying balls up to me and I was like trying to kick these balls. Um and it was you know, it was a real struggle. I think it got infected after that
Yeah.
because it was a puncture wound. The stud went through the boot and into my foot. So it was it got infected after that game and after that time at England. But these are the bits that people, I guess, you know,
Yeah.
these are the sort of things that I've had to kind of go through
Yeah.
on the journey. So I guess
Yeah.
it makes you resilient when you go through those things, I
100%.
guess.
Yeah. Oh, mate, 100% character building, right?
Wow,
Yeah.
yeah. Just
Yeah.
back now, I'm like, oh gosh, I even went up a little bit. Like, how did you do that? Like, but
Yeah.
you know, it's just when you want to, you know, I wanted to be a professional footballer. That's all I ever kind of hoped and kind of prayed for as a kid. Really, all I asked for was just the opportunity to train every day.
Yeah.
That's you know that's all I wanted to do was
Yeah.
please
Amazing.
just get me in there and train every day. As long as I
Yeah.
train every day, I'm going to
Yeah.
improve. You know,
Yeah.
so
So how long did recovery take after that injury, and how soon was it that you become on Newport County's radar?
so um, yeah, I probably had about yeah. After when I first initially done the injury, it was about kind of, yeah, 3 weeks before I went with England, and then another probably 2 months after that, I wasn't right because I just refused to play for Cirencester after that. I
Yeah,
was like, I
yeah,
am crocked here, and I can't believe
yeah,
I've got to play in that college game just before I got my chance against England,
yeah,
for England. But yeah, about 2 months after that, then, which was around about sort of March time, I came back into the Cirencester college team again. And I was just, we would get, we were a college team, we weren't academy players. So um, we would get beat sort of 7-1, sometimes even like 10-2, or like, we would get battered by these academy teams. But, the one and the twos were coming from me. So
yeah,
it was a case of like, right, who's that kid up front for you that, that keeps scoring against these defenders that, we've got scholars like now. And after that season, I had a trial at Yeovil with Gary Johnson, and I thought I'd done all right, but he just sort of pulled me in his office after the week and just said, "I like you, but you're raw." And I was like, "All right." And he was like, "So we're not going to be a contract." I was like, "Okay," kind of, and that was that.
yeah,
This is before I kind of knew these characters in the game. Um, and then I went on trial at Swindon as well. Played against Swansea, and again they were just like, not sure. So I was a bit of, I was kind of in a place where I was, not really sure what I was going to do. I think I was going to play for like a Chippenham Town. My mates were at Chippenham Town at the time. Um, and then, to be fair, the guy that made me play in the game, Steve, said like he's a Welsh international and he's a Newport County legend. And at the time, Newport County were in the Conference South, and they had a fella called ex-player called John Cornforth, who was ex-Swansea. I think he's a Swansea legend. And he just said, "What? He's been at England schoolboys. He's 18. Get him in for pre-season." And pre-season, I mean, back then the boys used to call me sort of Gabby Selassie. They were like, "Oh, you busy, but," they used to sort of go past me. But that was my kind of way. And he said, like, literally, like, just, yeah, we'll give you 120 quid a week. Come and be with the lads, and we'll give you an opportunity. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, that's how Newport came about.
yeah. I mean, mate, you've already mentioned so much of this sort of, these mental sort of challenges that you had to face as a kid, and then, yeah, how do you kind of cope mentally going into a trial game, for Swindon as an example, where you're literally playing for the career of your dreams, right?
Yeah,
There's this responsibility that, on your shoulders.
yeah.
How does that affect your game? Are you able to sort of like have your best game under those circumstances? How do you feel during that time?
I mean, ultimately, I mean, throughout my career, getting a goal in a game made my game go bub 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 bub. Like
Yeah,
throughout my career,
yeah,
if I scored early, like that was it. I was having a good game. Do you know what I mean? But I think that was always my thing from the moment I ever had the opportunity to play football. I remember going back again to 7 years old. Like, my mum and dad, again, they had my two brothers, so they couldn't take me to my first ever game. So it was a case my friends' parents that were going, and back even back then, at that level, you're either interested or you're not. And they sort of said to me, "Oh, you're keen for football, aren't you? Well done today." And I was like, "This is my first ever game, bearing in mind, playing, kids football." And I said, "Nah, I didn't play well." And they were like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I didn't score." And all my family can vouch for that. Like, my first ever game, but that
yeah,
was the expectations, and that's what I wanted to do.
yeah,
And that's what kind of give me the buzz, and it's just what I wanted to do.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. No,
so so go,
incredible.
going back to the Swindon question, or sorry, the question when I was on trial. I
Yeah,
just wanted to score. I just wanted to score, and if I didn't score, I thought, well, I'm not going to get a deal then. So I kind of sort of made my mind up about that before they told me
yeah,
almost.
yeah. Yeah, wow. Well, when you went to Newport County, you mentioned that they was National League South back then. Is that right?
Yeah, it
Yeah, yeah.
was. Yeah, it
So,
was
yeah,
Conference South. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
that was that was life changing for me, to be honest with you, because some of the names that we had in that team, bless him, Jason Bowen, I know he's going through his stuff at the moment. Damien Searle, Andy Legg, um, and then you had the other lads, Craig Hughes, and it was like they really, really took me in as a youngster, and they didn't need to. Football can be a tough game,
yeah,
but they really sort of took me in and looked after me. And in the first year, I think I scored, 7 goals in about 30 games. I think I played quite a lot of game or 30 appearances. I can't remember. Um, and then the gaffer got sacked, John Cornforth at the time, and Peter Beadle came in. Peter Beadle's like, I've got so much, gratitude for that guy, because he was a legend, just coming out of sort of retirement itself, played for Bristol City,
yeah,
played for Bristol Rovers, striker, which was absolutely brilliant. And but he dealt with me in a way that, mentally I'll never again be able to give him enough credit, because he came in the first year we stayed up, and then the second year come round again, I grew a little bit, put a bit on, and they were like, right, he's come back like decent, um, and we had Julian Alsop at top at the time. That's obviously had a good career, but it was a horrible, horrible guy. Like,
really,
Jules, you'll hear some stories, but I'm sure if you look into that guy, but he was always going to play. And then you had Hughesy off him, which was again an experienced lad. And I was sort of, even back then, I'll go through it throughout. I always thought I should have been playing.
yeah,
So um, the gaffer just turned around and said, "Listen, I'm gonna uncage you right when the time's right. Okay, keep training well, keep turning up to training, keep ripping up training, keep doing your extras, keep doing all what you're doing, because in a minute I'm gonna literally let you off your leash and you're gonna bag yourself a fortune." And that was his exact words.
yeah,
That was his exact words. And he couldn't have been more right, to be honest with you, because in that time he was showing me technique. He had a left foot, like, he could open a can of baked beans with his left foot.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
mad.
yeah,
And he showed me all sorts, and he always demanded both feet, both feet. And again, later on in my career, I cannot thank him enough. Both feet, both feet. Like the amount of goals I've scored off both feet. Um, and he put me on. No, he started me against, I think, Hayes and Yedden at the time. Um, and he sort of said to me, "They're all up there. So they're waiting for you. I've told them all about you, and they're all waiting to see you today." And Jules got me by the scruff of the neck. It was just like, "If you pass to me today, if you," and like, because like he's like, go alone, you go alone. This is about you now." And I just, again, like it kind of almost makes me sort of like, again, like it brings back a lot of emotion, because I look at it and I go, they didn't need to do that for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but they did, and I ended up scoring, 2 hat tricks in a row, one game after another, and I had 12 clubs in the stands, from Stoke to Reading to, obviously Cardiff, Swansea, even my old club Bristol City came back sniffing
yeah,
again.
yeah,
And I was 18 years old, so when you're doing that in the Conference South, and to be fair, I was pretty rapid back then, so it was just a matter of time. And I got a phone call off one of my old coaches that was chief scout there at the time, Paul Compton, and he said, "Bloody hell, Greenie," he was just like, you don't die easily, do you?" I was like, "Well, yeah, if that's how you're going to put it," sort of thing. And then he's got Cardiff want you. Dave Jones has said that he wants you. Just come to Cardiff. Come to Cardiff. It'd be the best club for you. And at the time, I had agents and stuff calling me, and I should have probably listened to one of them, an old agent called Tony. Actually, Michael Flynn give me the contact. I probably should have gone with him. Looking back, it was a bit of a protection for me. But I listened to one of my old coaches, and I ended up sort of going to Cardiff. I probably should have gone to Swansea, to be honest, because that I think they got promoted season after season after season after that, and went all the way.
yeah,
But I went to Cardiff because it was a city I was familiar with. And again, I don't regret anything walking into there, looking at some of the names. And again, the lads were absolutely brilliant. And some of the guys I got to play with and experience playing with was unbelievable. But I think Dave Jones was, I think he was just sort of on a different sort of mindset to where I needed to like him to be in terms of seeing the potential in me.
Yeah.
So you know, I went in the first the first season. I think I made about 7, 8 appearances in the championship off the bench. Didn't manage to get my goal, but was coming on having an effect in games. And then we come back pre-season, and a young Aaron Ramsey was there, um, and he started buying in Trevor Sinclair, Robbie Fowler, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, which was just like I was like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like I've been watching these guys, like they're all my like era, what I've been watching on the
Yeah.
Premiership on Match of the Day for so many years. Um, so and they took a shine to me, like they just saw like he's absolutely rapid. Like, he's got a chance, him. Like, so it was great. I mean, I got to sort of speak with, I know they were all at their end of their career, but speak with like the likes of Robbie Fowler, and he would help me with my footwork when I was approaching the ball. Um, Jimmy took me down to London a few times. I took him for a shape. It was just great. It was great sort
Yeah.
of rubbing shoulders with those guys, but ultimately I wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
So, in the second season, I get to a point where yeah, I never forget this. Peter Whittingham, bless him as well. I text him because I got on really well with a lot of the players there, to be honest. And I text him saying, Wits, what's the gaffer's number? I didn't even have, the young boys weren't allowed near the gaffer, But I was looking at it and I was like, I'm not even on the bench now. Obviously you had again under Fowler and Hasselbank, you had McLean, you had Warren Feeney, so they were always going to sort of be involved. But Whips was like, "Are you sure you want the gaffer's number, Greedy?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." He's just like, "All right." So I sent him a message, and back then it was frowned upon to text the gaffer. Like gaffers don't read, you know. But stupidly, again, lack of. I think with me as well it was lack of I don't take it, obviously my family are my biggest support, but we had no clue about football. Do you know what I mean? Like as a family, like
Yeah.
we didn't. No one knew what I was getting myself into. They just knew that I was doing what I loved. So kind of like Dad, should I text him? Yeah, go on then, give him a text. Um, so I get a text back saying, "Hello, Greenie. I'll see you in the gym at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Don't be late." That's all I got back. So like obviously I'm there in my car now, like thinking, oh. So I call Wits back, obviously paranoid, going, Wits, I text him and he said, "See you in the gym." He's like, "You text the gaffer, Greenie Dad?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You never text the gaffer." So, anyways, get round to it, rock up, get in front of Dave Jones. He sat there. All right, Greenie. Yeah, all right. 10 minutes late. Terrible for my timing. And he's like, "You right?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he's like, right, sort of sat down. And he's like, "What do you want?" And I was like, I was just kind of, um, is there any chance you see me playing? Or he's like, you're not going to be playing. I've had 3 clubs in on loan. Straight away, my heart sank because it was like when you're young, all you want to do is kind of be in and around people that you're familiar with. And
Yeah.
the thought of going on loan was quite a lonely, place and, completely unproven. So I knew, it's almost, you just fear it. Like as much as I would say to a young player now, go out on loan, it is daunting. You know, if you don't do well on your loan, then what are you coming back to? You know, and it has to go through your mind mentally. You know, you're going on loan to go and show what you can do ultimately, as well as play games and get minutes. You know, and especially back then, because I feel like there's a lot more patience with players in the game now.
Mhm.
You know, they if if they do have a bad loan, then it's not over for them. You know, they could go
Yeah.
on another, they could have 3 or 4 loans before they come good. But back then, I would say it was a lot more kind of sink or swim mentality. So I went on my first loan. Well, he said, you can go Darlington or Bradford. I suggest you go Bradford. Um, and I probably should have again because the gaffer at the time, I can't remember his name. He's a Bradford legend, but
Stuart McCall?
yeah, Stuart
Yeah.
McCall, absolutely. So at the time, Stuart McCall, you know, he showed a real interest in me, a genuine interest. And for whatever reason, I chose to go Darlington, which was miles further up north. It might have been one of the lads that said they knew a player there or something. But again, because I was naive, I had no knowledge about the game. I was just going off gut instinct and what I knew. Um, but I ended up going. I ended up going to Darlington, and in the first game, I think I came on against Leeds, hit the bar, and it was looking good. It was, you know, I came on. Everyone's sort of getting texts off Wilco at the time. That was like my one-to-one striker coach almost. Said brilliant, great start. And then I started my second game because Tommy Wright got injured, and I just quickly found out about League Two. And played against I can't remember his name now, a big Russian guy, and he beat the life out of me. There's so many times in my younger years I think about I was so naive, like, but I guess I just didn't know any better. But any run I would make, anything I would do is just dominating me, and I really found out how hard, you know, football league and elite football really is. I
Yeah.
thought I was coming down to League Two and it's going to be a jolly up, you know, after doing all that training with Cardiff and all the rest of it. Um, but it didn't really work out. I started going out with the lads a little bit, which, you know, many times I could say I've, you know, burnt the candle at both ends in that respect. But um, it's, yeah, it didn't really go too well. I ended up meeting, you know, my ex fiance up there. That's probably the only good thing that I did do up there. And then within 4 weeks, I was back at Cardiff and almost looked at like a failure for not doing the business at Darlington for a month.
Yeah.
So sort of I went under the radar, and you know, the boy again, the lads at Cardiff again, the older pros were just superb with me. They would just sort of take me under their wing and try and cheer me up, and you know, say, "Don't worry about it. You know, you'll get another chance. You'll get another chance out on loan or whatever else." And that's when Oxford United came in, Darren Patterson, and that's where I met my good friend Adam Murray as well for the first time. So yeah, I went there initially for a month. Um, Me and Ashley Barnes actually, that was at Plymouth at the time. We travelled together. We were like flipping Beavis and Butthead in the car, you know, two strikers, you know, just you know, traveling up from Bristol, hoping that we could have a chance to, you know, to be a professional footballer one day. And I think I scored in my first game against Kiddie for Oxford. It was just like that was probably it was a scruffy goal. I mean, it was Bevan in goal, Big Bevs. He was in goal for Kiddie at the time, and the ball sort of bobbled off him, and I just because you know the sort of player I am, you know, I just go full on and you know just clattered into him, and it's come off me and sort of dribbled in the goal, and it. To be honest with you, from then I didn't really look back at Oxford. You know, it was like that goal kind of give me the world of confidence. Um, and then I played. Well, I say I played 2 or 3 more games, and then again sort of ran into the goalie again and broke my collarbone. So I was sent back to Cardiff for 6 weeks to do the rehab. they turned around and said to me, right, okay, you're healed up now. You need to start doing your rehab. I said, all right, brilliant. What sort of rehab we doing? And they slipped out. I said, the pool. And I was like, I can't swim. I'm not a good swimmer. Like, how am I going to do it? They're like, here's your goggles, 30 lengths. I was like looking at it like it was Trevor Sinclair at the time, and he was obviously he's done everything in the game, So he was just looking at me, he's like, just get it done, just get it done. I was like, I remember doing like a length and then just blowing at the end, and then doing a length and blowing at the end. But it got me fit and it sorted me out because the rehab on my collarbone after that was spot on. As soon as I'm fit, straight back to Oxford. And Muzz kind of at the time, he took a bit of a liking to me. He didn't have to again as well as a young boy, but you could see that I was pretty quick, and I was hungry, and he kind of welcomed me back a little bit the second time and kind of got me in with the lads. Billy Turley, Jamie Hand at the time, and a couple of other lads, and they sort of welcomed me back a little bit more, which was massive for me because it made me relax a lot. And all of a sudden, sort of Muzz started getting his head out, and obviously what a player he was. But I mean, he had that. He knew what I needed to get the best out of my game, and he would. And he would just put the ball in a sixpence. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'll just have to look at him. It was a chemistry where eye contact. You know where I want it. Can you put it there? Bosh, gone. And obviously you can't. Defenders are ball watching.
Yeah.
So before they blink, I'm running that way, and Muzz is just getting his wand out.
Yeah.
And it was I ended up scoring 10 goals in 18 games at 19 years old in the conference. Yeah, I mean, it was, and some of the goals you can ask Muzz yourself. It was, taking two players on and whipping it in the bottom corner of the outside of my boot. It was just sort of all my game, everything I dreamt of, watching obviously R9, Henri, all these massive icons. I wanted to base my game on all these guys, and for the first time, I'm actually playing. Obviously, nowhere near as good as them, but in my own way, trying to be that guy. So, and then I got shipped back to Cardiff at the end of the season. Oxford was saying, "Yeah, we want to keep you, want to keep you, want to keep you," which was great. And then I go back to Cardiff with kind of like a hope, like, at the end of the season, I've scored 10 goals in 18 games. I look back now, like, and I've spoke to Dave Jones and Al after, and they both said they should have kept me back then, but that's a different story. But at the time, he's just sat me down and just said, we've just sold Aaron Ramsey to Arsenal, and we're going to sell Chris Gunter. Matt, we're not going to give you a contract. I'm sorry. Some of the players we've got here now, some of the experience we've got, you're not going to get a game. So I suggest that you go back to Oxford with Darren Patterson, and I wish you well. So this time I just bought my first flat in Cardiff as well. So literally bought it in September. The year before, so I hardly even lived there. I was on loan everywhere anyway, so it was probably a bad decision, but I was so sort of adamant because again, sort of talking about in-house the players, how they used to talk to me, the likes of Robbie Fowler, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. They really wanted me to stay and really wanted me to look after me, and Trevor Sinclair used to call me Petrol Boy, and things like that. They just said he's rapid, like he's got a chance him, yeah, just sort of heartbroken. I remember sort of feeling sort of really sad, and a few of the lads even could see a bit of tear in their eye and stuff like that. So I sort of went to the two big dogs, Jimmy Floyd and Trevor Sinclair. And Robbie Fowler, and made sure I got a shirt from him, and then that was it. Kind of just turned my back and never looked at never went back again. And that was my time at Cardiff. But experience wise, it was absolutely brilliant. But then after that, the phone wasn't calling. I had Oxford there, but I had a mortgage, and I wanted things like you do as a young man, things that you of worldly possessions and stupidity. I look back on it, but I wanted that, and I wanted that lifestyle. Because I've seen a lot of that at Cardiff as well. So it kind of wanted me. I was like, well, if I've done it at this level, so if I am going to go, I want to be paid well. Um, and It came to sort of, about pre-season, and I still hadn't had a club, and Oxford was saying to me, we want to get you in, but we only want to offer you 600 quid a week, which is £100 more than what I was on at Cardiff at the time. And you can live in one of the houses with the lads. And to this day, it was probably, I made a lot of mistakes, but probably one of the biggest mistakes that I made in my career, because the Oxford United fans absolutely love me already. And at 19, the fans love you, the players like you, the managers having you. It's no money in the world is better than that, and to be at the Kazam Stadium, to be playing with the likes of Mars that want to get you the ball. And again, like the fans were sort of saying like, I'm going to play for England one day, Greeny for England, they used to shout, at 19 years old, because they believed in me that much. And I probably would have stayed at Oxford a couple of years and probably been sold to Southampton, like Dexter Blackstock or something like that. But my mate called me up again and said, oh, I'll come down, Torquay, the old sort of Cardiff coach. And I stupidly went down to meet them. And again, life's life, I don't regret it. But at the same time, I look back in hindsight and have a sort of a little bit of, resentment towards my decision back then. And I stupidly went down to Torquay and met Torquay United. And it was Paul Buckle, which is, a top, nice enough chap, and a guy, and the chairman. And at the time, I was about a year in with my ex-fiance, and she was like, "Girl, come on, let's go down to the coast. Let's go and have a look. Let's see what they got to offer." But of course, we rocked down. It was a place called the Ness Hotel, and it was a steamy. It was an evening where steam was coming off the sea, and the hotel was like out this world. They put us in the honeymoon suite. They said your meal's down there waiting for you, big bottle of sort of champagne, and we were like, oh, this is nice, cheers, as you do. And Yeah, up in the honeymoon suite, had a nice bath, and enjoyed the honeymoon suite and all the rest of it, and then woke up in the morning and sort of Paul Buckle was sat there at the end of the table. I remember walking around the corner, sort of coming to have my meeting, and he was sat there with papers here, and papers here. And I was like, I didn't think I was going to sign. Do you know what I mean? And then they sort of said like, listen, we brought you down here to sign, Matt. I'll be honest with you. And I was like, oh, what about Oxford? Like, I'm happy there. I know it's not ideal that I can't have my missus with me. I know it's not ideal that I'm going to be making, best part of £1,000 a week, but I was happy there, So, and I was a young boy, and you look back on it now. If I had an agent or I had better advice, but again, someone that sort of come from the Southwest that had not much, knowledge or experience about football at the time, I kind of went for the money. Coming from humble beginnings and things like that, they offered me 850 quid a week, a decent signing on fee, relocation, a place for me and the missus. And you just, yeah, I mean, but I knew as soon as I walked to play more, after I signed those papers, I walked to play more and I'd look out on the pitch and I was like, said to my granddad, I don't think this is going to work out. And he just looked at me and said, "Don't bloody say that now." You just bloody signed all this stuff. You're 19 years old. You're at a good club. Rah, 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 rah. Within 6 months, I'm calling Muzz. Muzz, can I come back? And speaking to the lads. And I ended up signing them. It was a bad decision, and I to this day I do regret it to a certain degree. Well, regret's a strong word, but I probably regret more so how I dealt with it. I mean,
Yeah.
you had Darren Patterson. By that time, Oxford, to be fair, they got 650 a week and free accommodation. And I just kind of just signed the papers and just thought that's just normal. I've made that decision. I've signed now, but I didn't understand. Your reputation in football is everything. And if you're a young boy coming from Cardiff and you just sign somewhere for extra money or for a bit more money, it kind of just goes straight through football, and all of a sudden you become like a bad person overnight. And he just rang me up and just literally was spitting feathers down the phone. You're not going to do well down there. They have Tim Sills, they have Elliot Benyon, they have this guy, they have that. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right, but it's too late now, and it was a shame because Darren Patterson I thought was a really good man as well, and again give me a brilliant opportunity in the first place, and really wanted me to do well. And even the physios wanted me to do well there. They've gone to sort of better pastures now, and it was a real shame. But moving on now, that's what it was. And I think out of Torquay that season, we did get promoted that season. Again, great boys down in Torquay. You had Hargreaves, Lee Mansell, Kevin Nichols, and Tim Sills. So again, good bunch of lads. They looked after me, brilliant. But ultimately, I wasn't going to play. It was more so to sabotage anything than what Oxford was going to do that season. And that was the meat and bones of it, really. And I was kept there like a good boy, really. When I was seeing my sort of career at the time felt like sort of disintegrate in front of me. So, but
I mean, you can completely see it, Matt. I mean, there you are, a 19-year-old lad. They've wined you and dined you. Best couple of £100 they've spent. You almost, as you're talking, you can picture you there with the sort of hotel bathrobe and slippers on.
Exactly that. I would have had that.
How can you not sign at that point, Matt? They've got the contract in front of you. You probably still got your breakfast to the side. It's
yeah. It was. I mean, again, I don't. It's happened now, but I just wish my football knowledge was better back then. Or I had potentially a couple members in the family that just said, listen, Oxford United is 5-6 times the club that Torquay United is, for one. And, secondly, you've already, drawn blood at Oxford, if you want to call it that, in terms of scoring goals. You've got players that like you. You've got a manager that's seen you score goals. The facilities are way better than Torquay's. Food after training, blah, 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 blah. It makes up for that £350 extra and that sign on fee and that, that sort of little bit of a relocation, So, I had to do it, I guess. Again, I was sort of wooed over, I guess. But, they kind of played on that, I think.
Yeah. Well, I know there's going to be thousands of Stags fans listening, waiting patiently for us to talk about the club where you're absolutely a legend there. It was the summer of 2011. You even got a yellow mug for the occasion, Matt.
Well, do you know what it is? It was just the best mug in the drawer, mate, I
think. I mean, how did that move to Mansfield come about, Greenie?
So, it was, so I went back. So I went back to Oxford actually after we got promoted for Torquay. And Chris Wilder was the manager then, which again, what a brilliant manager. He took a chance on me. We had my mate James Constable up front that scored 20 odd goals the season before. He knew me well. and they took me in, and we got promoted that we got promoted that season with Oxford in 2010, and then we went to the Football League, and obviously the Football League's a different standard. It is like all round. I mean, players, dynamicness, competitiveness, everything's just up, 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 up. So um, I think I played like the first sort of 7, 8 games, and um, when you don't score in the Football League and you miss one-on-ones and you're missing chances, again, everything's enhanced. So maybe if I scored a few in my early days at Oxford, I might have stayed there because the heroics of the conference final, obviously scoring probably one of the best goals I've scored in my life. Um, it was it didn't work out in the Football League for him in the first few months, and I went on loan to Cheltenham, and I was kind of branded for not being able to do it in the Football League pretty quickly after all those heroics in the conference. So, and it felt like that. And I think mentally, it felt like that as well. It felt like it was a step too much for me to go and score, ridiculous goals in the Football League. So I went on loan to Cheltenham, which was probably a bad move because it was too close to my friends and people that were probably bad influences. When I was back in the Southwest. And then I got to a point where Oxford sort of said, like, well, you've got another year on your deal, but you're not part of the plans, in the Football League, really. You had a chance at Cheltenham, you've had a chance with us, but Mansfield have been on the phone and they spoke about a few other clubs. But Mansfield kind of just stood out straight away. And my friend Reece Day was there, or had been there. So he called me and said, all right, Greeny Valley lad. All right, Greeny lad, get yourself to Mansfield, lad. And I was like, all right, all right, all right, all right. So Chris Wilder just sort of turned, I'll never forget this. Never forget this. He turned around and said, I'm going to let you go this season to Mansfield. I don't really want to, Greeny, but you're probably going to come back and bite me in the ass, aren't you? That's what he said. He said, I've got a feeling you're going to come back and bite me in the ass, but I've got to let you go. And I was like, right, that's all right then, fine then, Gaffer. You asked the Gaffer about my personality, so back then it was like, right, very ballsy for my age and things like that. I was like, okay, fine. So drove up to Mansfield, saw the bit, straight to the stadium. Got around the corner, saw the stadium. I was like, oh, right, the ground's decent. No, decent. Right, yes. Right, I just need to bang goals here. That was all that was going through my mind because I was like, I've been sort of fobbed off from all my sort of mates as well as Oxford that I helped get to the League Two in the first place, which didn't sit well with me anyway. I was like,
yeah,
that's I helped get them. To be honest, if you take the first goal away from the 3-1 win at Wembley for the Oxford, I don't know whether they get promoted. To be honest, so I felt like I was been dealt an unjust. So got there, got to Mansfield, met the boys, and it just fit so well from the moment I got in the door. From the moment I got in the door, it was, hey up, Docker. And I was like, eh? Did he just call me duck? And it just kind of fit because I was quite an abrupt kind of lad anyway, in terms of I wouldn't really take much shite, it kind of fitted well with the Mansfield folk as well. And they just got behind me straight away. I mean, straight away, they just was like, the fans I just felt like they give me that energy. And then I scored my first goal against Luton. I never forget that, straight in the top bins. And I was like, and from that, then it just, and then I scored a goal the following game, and I scored again. And then, to be fair, Mickey Moore, that I've got to mention as well, brilliant coach. And Paul Cox as well, give me the license to go and be a number 9 for the first time, because I was playing left of free a lot when I was younger. He pulled me in, and we were playing Wrexham, I think, and for Mansfield. And this is probably around about the 5th or 6th game, and all the boys were around in a circle after training, and by this time on about 3-4 goals, and he was just like, right, who's on pens? Put the ball up, and obviously Louis Briscoe, all these lads like put their hand up, and I was kind of like, just I don't know, I wasn't really a pen taker really. Like I was like, yeah, you boys can have that. I just want to score outfield goals, it's right. And then he's gone round to the boys and then gone put it in me and gone, he's our top goal scorer. He's on pens. And it was that sort of belief that I got from the start at Mansfield put into me and stored into me, you know. And then you have Paul Cox telling me when we were playing Darlington away, talking about getting my own back on certain. It was he's just gone to me, Greenie, do me a favour. Every time you get the ball in behind, don't turn back. He's like, don't turn back. Like, how many players get the ball, chop out, and then just play it back, and then get in the box, and it breaks down, and it breaks down, and they might score at the other end. He was just like, you are our best player. He was like, get the ball and go for goal. Well, by this point, all my skills started coming out, my step overs and my directness and my attitude towards goal, and it just, the floodgates opened then, really. It was just sort of goal after goal. I think I scored 30 goals that season. And also, it's a massive bee in my bonnet fact again. Oxford let me go. Cardiff let me go. All this disappointment was just fueled. And I felt like I was hidden away at Mansfield, just on my grind, doing my thing. And everybody thought I was a very good player. So it was an amazing platform for me to just go and, as a, what was I then, probably 24, 25. Yeah. As a 24, 25-year-old to go and score those goals.
Yeah. And then, of course, to bring you back, I mean, uniquely, the fans were actually involved in raising the transfer fee to bring you back. That's how much they loved you, right?
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of talk. There was a lot going on at the club at the time. I think Haslam or something was sort of trying to hold on to things, and it was a loan initially, actually, from Oxford, like I said, from the start of the season till January, and then the new chairman, John Radford, just came in at the time, and he'd watched me in a few games, and they said to me, "Oh, your loan's done, and I was like, "I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. Can I stay? Can I stay here, please?" And they were like, "Well, obviously we want to keep you here, but we don't know whether Oxford will do it." And Chris Wilder sort of, he texted me saying, "Are you happy there?" And I said, "Yes, yes, yes." And they just negotiated, obviously, with the club, and managed to get me out my contract there at Oxford, which for me, it felt like it was never in doubt. It was always going to happen. But ultimately, it was amazing to get it done.
Yeah. It's so interesting listening to you speak today, Greenie, because as fans, we only see the sort of end result, don't we? We see you playing, we see you scoring goals, but
Yeah.
yet there's this whole backstory that
Yeah.
for every player that people just don't know about, the different rejections, the different upsets, for the challenges, the injuries, and of course, you as a human being, there's also a cost as well, isn't there? You've already mentioned many occasions traveling around the country, to these different places and almost living out of a suitcase for, various weeks on end. What's that like as a sort of human being, having to sort of be that flexible within your lifestyle and to move around so much?
Ultimately, you're living your dreams, so you kind of just make camp wherever you're going. I think if you're enjoying your football, you're not really worried about what's your suitcase looks like, or you're surrounded to a certain degree. I know it sounds a little bit kind of sort of motionless, but yeah, you just kind of like, I mean, even when I was on loan at Darlington and stuff, I mean, the loan looks like you're in a hotel, and you're usually in a very nice hotel, and every time you ring the phone, it's put on the club, so you're getting your food, and stuff like that. So
It don't sound so bad when you talk about it like this, Greenie, to be
yeah,
fair.
yeah. I mean, no, like as you come of age, obviously you want to be settled in your surroundings. It's important to be established and settled in your surroundings. But I think probably when I went out to Linfield, it probably hit me the most because then I was like 35. And then it was a bit like, oh gosh, I'm a bit fed up of doing this now. And I think then it was like a bit jarring, would you say, like where it was a bit sat in a hotel, watching an iPad, eating some dry pasta, watching something on TV. Like, yeah, I could be
Yeah,
doing so much more in my life at this moment in time. But when you're younger, obviously it's great. But traveling around and sort of setting up new camp and things like that, it's new friends, it's getting in with them, it's dealing with the new rules and that sort of stuff, and finding out the area. So I guess you've got to kind of be a bit resilient and adaptable, because you've got to respect the fact as well that you're playing professional football, so and that's why you're there. So
yeah.
yeah, that side of it, I haven't got too many sort of begrudgement about, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, the Mansfield fans won't forgive me if we don't talk about one of the most important and famous matches in the club's history, the 16th of April,
Yeah,
2013, Hereford United away.
yeah.
Before we speak about it, Matt, just position the importance of that game for us.
Oh well, um, yeah. The importance of the game for the people in the town was obviously catastrophic. Like I think even the club's sort of foundation at the time wasn't exactly where it needed to be. So I think it was similar at Oxford United, but I didn't have that much influence as I did at Mansfield. But clubs in the conference, it's a tough league to get out of. Very, very, very tough. Football league, but the conference, that's where you see a lot of big clubs staying there for a long time.
Yeah,
And Mansfield wasn't the biggest club at the time in the conference. I think we had Wrexham, Luton. We had quite a few big clubs in there at the time. So Mansfield, it wasn't as big as those two clubs at the time, but I was playing for them. Adam was playing for them, and we were flying that season. We were cooking. So um, yeah, I think for me, I take nothing a bit away from the lads, because the lads were tremendous throughout that season. I could go through so many different names that had storming seasons, but towards the end of that season, I have got to kind of, just like explain to you that we had 3 games left, and we had to win all 3 games. By this point, my phone's ringing off the chain. I've got this championship club saying that they're going to take me at the end of the season. So my move was kind of like, I knew I was going back to the championship probably around about 5 games towards the end, but I was being a top pro and finishing what I needed to do. And by this point, I scored, I think 55 goals. So me and the fans were close. We it was different back then. The fans could, have a beer with you after the game, have a chat with you. So, I knew a lot of people in the town, and it was a real sort of it was a moment where, yeah, like I said, 3 games left. We lost. There was 2 games left that we needed to win. We needed to get 6 points out of. And I was looking around, and there was tired lads. Like, lads were just dead on their feet, mentally and physically. And Kidderminster and us have been battling it out all season. And I remember that Hereford game. I think, especially looking at that now, like obviously we go 1-0 down, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm ready at this point. Like, I'm at the peak of my powers. I felt like I walk and what 55 goals. So that confidence levels was just anything that I could felt like I could literally do anything in front of goal. And yeah, it was a point where we go 1-0 down, and I'm raging in myself at this point. I'm actually going like, boys, we are giving this away. We are giving
yeah,
this away. Like, we're going to lose this. And then obviously Lyndon puts a great ball in the box, but then if you look back at that header, it's a hard header to score at. I mean, I've
yeah,
extended my neck right back there, and I've
yeah,
managed to get down. Like, but that was the at the time for me, that was how important it was for the club to get
Yeah,
promoted, because it wouldn't have sat well with me leaving the club and
yeah,
they're still in the conference.
yeah.
It just wouldn't, me as a person, because of how much trust and faith the club and the fans had given me already. So I thought, right, and I'd done an extraordinary, thing in the first goal. And then,
So just
uh,
Matt, just break that down because I want to just go through the emotion of this. I mean, I've already watched this game. When we spoke yesterday, you told me
yeah,
you watched it, this clip on YouTube a million times. I've watched
yeah,
it 10 times in the last couple of weeks.
yeah,
I just, even though we know how the game finishes,
yeah,
even just watching it is
yeah,
just like it's just one of those games, right? It's amazing. I'm going to make sure that the links in the description below, so watch it. So
I appreciate it.
this is the final game. You need to win. The
Yeah,
drama, you go 1-0 down.
yeah,
Like you say, you're on fire. You
yeah,
know, Meikle goes down the left hand side. He fires in this ball. Like you say, to be honest, it was a ball that for a lot of strikers it would have probably gone over their head. You've had to
yeah.
really extend back to. It
I,
wasn't an easy finish, was it? You got your head on it
nah.
and to get it over. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
1-1.
like if you watch that goal back, you realize
Yeah,
what a good header it was. I
yeah,
mean, I've scored
wasn't easy.
many a goal since then, but it's not till you look back and you realize that ball's swerving
Yeah,
away quite high, and I've had to get it down. And the goalie's on his line as well, so I had to go in the
yeah,
bottom corner.
yeah,
Because if I would have headed it back across goal or the purchase wasn't right,
yeah,
he would have just picked it up. But I've had to head it into the bottom corner as well as it's coming around there. But again, just strength of like I wasn't gonna like we're winning this, lads. We're going to
yeah,
win this,
yeah.
you know. And
You
then
remember how you felt when it went in? When you saw the ball going back in
oh,
there? What was it like?
I remember swinging a massive haymaker because I was just like, no, we're winning this,
Yeah,
like we are winning. It was a real kind of moment where, and I think the gaffer just cuddled, Adam Murray come and cuddled me after. It was just like, oh shit, like got gobos on it, like so it was that, and then so that went in, so it just sort of broke the difference. So then it was like, right, second half, 1-1, we're back in it, right? Forget the first half going 1-0 down, forget this lackluster performance, to be honest with you, which again, take nothing away from the boys, but they were dead on their feet. We had a massive season, even Liverpool that season, so it's huge, massively long season. um, and it was like, right, 1-1. All we've got to do this half is just, keep a clean sheet, which the boys absolutely did
yeah,
magnificently. And we got to score a goal. So obviously Hereford, I think, are already relegated at this point. So, and there was actually Kidderminster fans in the stadium that were
right,
booing us. Yeah, they were booing us
yeah,
every time we got the ball. Um, so we were just sort of playing our game, and I think I laid one onto Lyndon, and I was like, "Go, go, go!" Because I would have shot on my left foot if I knew Lyndon wouldn't have took that chance. I played a ball with the outside of my boot straight into Lyndon's pass. So all you had to do was side foot it in, but Lyndon done magnificently that season. But that should have been a goal. Um, and then we had chance after chance. I think the gaffer ran through and shot just wide, and I was yelling at him saying, "Why have you not just passed out to me?" I was just like that on the pitch. And then
the
uh,
overhead kick,
the
the
overhead
overhead kick,
kick again,
that was
like
crazy.
I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know how I got that on target, but again, it
yeah,
was I was like, anything that whatever it took, really. I mean, it was going away from me, and I managed to sort of get some purchase on it. And to be fair, the keeper was having a blind. I remember there was a few more saves as well. I mean, I know it shows a few clips, but there's a few saves that he made throughout that. So it gets to a point mentally as a team where you're just not going to score today.
yeah,
And it was getting that way. It was getting that way. Everyone was just been like, oh, we've come up short. Lad. I'm not saying that anybody was thinking that, but it was heading that way mentally as a team. You're like, we have done everything that we can to score. I mean, we're just not going to score. And then, yeah, I mean, big man comes on, and I know big man. Big man is, again, I probably owe him half my mortgage. Like, he's set me up that many goals over the years, like literally, but he wins all his headers. And I knew I had a big lump behind me. If you actually look how big the lad was behind me, I know I ragdolled him, but he's a big lad. So I just acted not interested, as you do sometimes when you need to come alive. and I knew Big Man was going to win it. Maz's kick again, huge kick up the pitch, and I just acted like I wasn't interested, and then just absolutely gripped this lad up, ripped him up by by his shorts, I think, pulled his top down, sort of like, and he was locked into me, and then the ball sort of just slowly run across me, and I'm just gonna absolutely smash this as hard as I can. I like this keeper's doing my anyway. He's saving too many shots. He ain't saving this one. And then yeah, the moment happened, and it went in, and I think everyone was just like, oh my gosh, like, to be fair to him, like he's done it right. He's not just gone and got his move. He's not just done it for him. He's not just scored 57 goals in 2 seasons and gone to the championship. He's gone, right, I'm taking you with me,
Yeah.
and that was my mindset at the time, it, hopefully it sort of helped a lot of players in their career, because getting a promotion off the back of, getting a
Yeah.
promotion, you're always going to be in a good position.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It was a Hollywood script, Greeny, wasn't it? I mean, it really, really was. I mean, are you able to sort of remember the emotion of that? I mean, I know. Well, I don't know. I can imagine. I
yeah.
know as a fan what it's like for you to score a goal. I mean, as a player, it's just unbelievable. But I mean, can you remember what was going through your body and your mind as that ball went into the back of the net when you knew you got the winner?
um well, funnily enough, I know, it's easy to say now, but actually, the 3 games, the game we lost against Braintree, I actually called my mum and dad, and my words were, and again, take it in a nice possible way. Like, the boys were absolutely brilliant. It was like, the boys are shitting it, and we have to do this on my own, and that's the cold facts, and they turned around and said, "You can do it,"
Yeah,
um,
well, yeah,
and you know, um, really, it was, once I'd done it, it was like, almost like, the job's still not done. We need to win the last game, because it was, the job still wasn't done. But it was, it was just kind of like looking at the lads, and the lads sort of looked at me a little bit different after that, really. We're like, oh, like, yeah, okay, And then, and to be honest with you, in the last game again, like, I was horrendous in the last game against Wrexham, but Briscoe done it. Boys turned up in the last game. Muzz was running around, flying around. There's one more game, and then we got this penalty, and obviously I finished that. But the emotion after was just peace, I guess.
yeah,
Just
really,
peacefulness. Yeah, it was
yeah,
just um the job's done. I remember sat there, actually, funnily enough, going back to Peter Beadle. He was at Hereford at the time doing the youth team, and he was just sort of slapped me around the legs and went, "Well done, kid." And it was a real. I think I was the last one in the change rooms after that. Everyone else was on the coach getting beard up, and I was the sort of the last one in the change room, just sort of thinking, yeah, you know, you you done what you said you were going to do.
yeah, amazing. Well, you mentioned the beers. I can imagine the evening was full of those.
Yeah.
What do you remember about the celebrations?
I've had too many, to be honest. Yeah, I've had to quiet down the last couple of years, especially. But it was yeah, it was just carnage back then. It was, I mean, it was when it was a time, and this is the thing what people sort of sometimes forget to realize. I mean, back then it was allowed, it was fine. Boys would be having beers after games, boys would be having beers on the coach, win, draw, lose on the booze. It was just kind of like, I came with my era. It was very, very, it was kind of on the brink of the change. It wasn't quite, as heavy
Yeah,
as, sort of the Arsenal boys or anything like that. But it was still very much kind of part of the game and part of the culture. So yeah, absolutely, on the bus, I think it was just absolute carnage. I mean, Moz was crazy. You had Big X there as well, but bottle of brandy in his hands. Yeah, it was just, yeah, it was good, really, really good times. And it's not till I still speak to some of the lads now, and they just say, like, you're never gonna have those times again. So it was just sort of look back on them with fond memories. And
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, but we had a game on the Saturday, so it wasn't too crazy as well. I think after that, yeah, that was carnage for about 4 days. But yeah, after the Hereford game again, I remember coming back and seeing my uh, missus at the time, and she looked at me a bit different, like, wow, she said you said you were going to do it, because ultimately as well, like, again, take nothing away from the boys. I'm no man on my own. There's 11 man in a team, but ultimately the hardest thing to do is put the ball in the back of the net, and I think that proved it that night. And everybody was trying to put it in the back of the net, but I was the man that done it.
Yeah. You mentioned that season you also had a cup game against Liverpool. That
Yeah,
must have been really memorable because that was also famous for being Daniel Sturridge's debut,
yeah,
if I remember right. Yeah.
yeah. What a player!
Team of Luis Suarez and
Yeah, what a
yeah,
player! Oh my gosh, I talk about, when people ask me about these players now, it's not till you see them up close and personal you really see how dynamic and powerful they are. And one of the biggest things that I noticed about which I took a lot from was those games, was these guys are tough as well. Like, don't think Lucas is like a Brazilian that gets on the ball. These guys are tough. I got smashed, but I still got a massive scar on my knee. If you do watch that game back, I think Bees played me the ball. Lucas absolutely nailed me. Like Suarez. I remember Big X going to kick the ball, and he just put his leg there, and just said, kick my leg instead. I'm coming away with the ball. These guys are tough, tough, tough guys. And obviously having a right tear up with Jamie Carragher, bless him, like he was coming towards the end of his career, like at that time. And Cortez and that cup game was, again, I was just a man on a mission. I was just like going back to the sort of mentality of being the underdog. I've been the underdog my whole life. So to have a chance to play against, elite top end
yeah,
Premiership players, for me, it was a platform. So
yeah,
um, I was, in the back of my mind, take again, not being arrogant, but in the back of my mind, I was like, you deserve to be there. Well, then let's have a look at you. Let's see, because I'm going to give you all of me today, and let's see what you got. And I could
yeah,
even talk about the Chelsea goal, the same mentality. The finals at Wembley. It was like almost a really, really big opportunity for me to show that I can be a difference maker and show
yeah,
all my quality. Um, and you know, it, I look at it now, like I felt like I could have played at the top level. If I would have had a bit more um, kind of a family understanding, a little bit probably of an arm around me at times in my career, and said, like, come on,
yeah,
rein it in, lads. Just get in
yeah,
the gym, do things right, be more professional, do this and that. And that's when I found out the hard way at Birmingham. But and that's why eventually I've done my knee. But yeah, I guess that was you know my reasoning. And like you said, the Liverpool game was just massive platform for me to show all of me, really. I felt like,
yeah,
but again, the lads were brilliant. We had a really, really good team.
yeah. Well, you played alongside, you already mentioned him a couple of times, and he was also managed by a man that we both know and love, Adam Murray.
Yeah.
Firstly, as a player, Grady, what would you like to play with?
To play with, he was horrible in terms of, like, he'd tear your head off if you're not running, or you're acting weak, even weak mentally a little bit, or you're coming off tackles, or you're coming off headers, or you're not 100%. He'd let you know. And if you couldn't handle it, you shouldn't be playing with him, because
Yeah,
that's how he plays, that's what he knows. And I get it now, because at the top level, when he was playing at the Premiership, this is why these guys get paid the most. They're so competitive, they're so, every tackle, sprinting their hardest for every ball. and you know he's very much like that standards. His standards were like that, but then he would manipulate the ball like he was a ballerina as well. You know, like he would just the ball would be bouncing, and most people at that level would be having a bad touch, whatever. But Muzz would just take on the top of his foot, and his range of passing after that was like a dream for me because I'd only run when Muzz had it really. Because
Yeah,
the first thing he would do when he had the ball under control was get his head up.
yeah, yeah,
You know, and it's hard to teach players that, you know, to receive a ball at pace or receive a bobbling ball, it can be intimidating. Oh, it's bouncing, I might have a bad touch, or you know, there's no question mark over what Mar's done. It was boom, boom. Oh, where are you? Bang, and there was no questions asked, and it was a striker's dream. You know, it was a striker's dream to have a player that knew what you wanted as well, because Muzz would have played before he played with me with some top end strikers. You know, some. I think he mentioned Paolo One Chop once, and players like that. You know, but also that's what they would have demanded from him. So he, you know, he didn't he got from me. For me, it was just willingness. I think at my younger ages, it was more willingness. I wasn't say it was something that was sort of installed in me, and he saw my willingness, and you know, it made his life easier because he didn't want to play to someone that's not got his ability next to him. You know, he wanted to be a difference maker on the pitch, and from midfield, he absolutely was, and he was fit as well. And he prided himself on that. So I think his standards stood out the most for me. His playing standards as a player. He wouldn't get it if someone couldn't control the ball. He'd be like, "What's wrong with you?" You know, he would lose his head. He'd lose his head. But he was, yeah, he's just a fantastic
yeah.
all-round midfielder, and again, not just technically very good on the ball. He was horrible as well. You tackle hard, you know, you'd get in people's faces. So
Yeah, yeah.
top player.
Well, you mentioned the one chops and the Ravanellis. I know that he lists you among all of the best strikers he's played with,
Gosh,
Rooney. So,
wow,
yeah,
that's an
yeah.
honor.
He then made the difficult transition from being everyone's mate to then becoming the club's manager, didn't he? An incredibly tricky thing to do well and to actually pull off. How was it to play for him as a manager?
I think when he was at Mansfield, it was tough because we still had that connection as um, player manager, and I think he was still adapting to his new role as manager. But you know, you can see at Eastbourne, like, and to be fair, my experience at Eastbourne towards the end of last season, he's so advanced, you know, tactically. You know, he's got a way of playing. It's a
Yeah,
way that I've never seen before. It's a way that I don't think anybody else can replicate. Um, and again, he's doing it right, you know, and he's obviously gone off and had some success with, you know, Filed, and he's been to Turkey and has some success. So he's come back and he's actually realised like this cut off now. Like I can't have friends in the game, you know. And even when I was going down to Eastbourne, there wasn't one phone call, you know,
yeah,
because if there was a phone call, like, oh, mate, you know, mate, nah, like it's Texas, you know, it's are you coming in, blah 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 blah. So, yeah, I mean, he's got to do that, and you know, and you can see his way is, you know, from what I can see this season, you know, what he's getting out of those players down there, like. He's just coming on, and he's still young for a manager as well.
yeah,
You know, so if he's
yeah,
cracked the Conference North and the Conference South and been abroad to play, you know, what looks next for him does look very bright. You know,
yeah. I mean,
so
what a job! I mean, as you know, you know, and I want to talk about that in a few moments. But he got parachuted in last season, didn't he? In a
yeah,
relegation
mm-hmm.
berth. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm a season ticket holder down there, and
Oh yeah,
there were very few people thinking that we were going to stay up last season. And you know, not only did he save Borough, you know, we're currently in first position and playing some
I know,
amazing football. And some of
yeah,
the players that you played alongside, that's what I wanted to speak to you
mm-hmm.
about because through the core of this interview, Greena, you've spoken about, these senior ex pros, Hasselbank, Fowler, and
Mhm.
these other sort of legends of the game that's had a really huge impact on you as a young player.
Yeah,
And I think one of the amazing things, I don't know if you are aware of how much credit you get for Borough staying up last season, is when
yeah,
you come into the squad last year, you played that role, didn't you? I spoke to you yesterday about it. I remember Yaya Bumba and Young McBride who came in, who were quite raw when you
mhm,
first arrived, but
yeah,
they just went on this run, the two of them together, where they just matured almost overnight, and
mhm,
you could quite clearly see how you were coaching them, using your experience, how to win free kicks. And at times we were too nice last season, but you came in and passed that on. And
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
how important is it for clubs to have those pros, those ex-pro, those senior pros, and the people that have done it in the game to be in and around the club, both in the squad and in the coaching staff as well?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I mean, the lads were terrific last season. I played a part in the club staying up, but it was a part. I mean, again, going back to the manager, making sure we played football. He didn't crumble. Even when we were looking like we were going to go down, he didn't crumble. So credit to his resilience, but also the players. You can get players, but as you come down the leagues, I've noticed you can get players that think they know it all. You know, in the nice. Well, it's not. They do. They think they've arrived. They think they've done this, that, and the other,
Yeah,
and and it's almost like a protective mechanism that they have because they've got pride and they want to go and have a good career, which I get. But to be fair, at Eastbourne, the boys listened so well, and it was down to Yaya's goals, Finn's goals. Don't get me wrong. Why we went and went on that run, but I think it is important because I do things naturally now. I mean, even when I'm training with the likes of Yate Town, just locally to me, or Cribs or stuff like that. My mate rocks up, and he was just like, as soon as I got there, I heard you, like you were the loudest there, you know, and I think it's having that no fear as well to be like, listen, you're making people's lives easier by communicating with them. I know you want a good game. I know emotionally you want to go and score a hat trick. I know you want to have the best game of your life. But if you're not doing the simple things well, and that is, communication is everything. If when you, I was always taught when you pass information. And they were the sort of shouts that I was sort of coming out with when I was
yeah,
at Eastbourne. And it was fast tracking the lads a little bit mentally to go in, well, he's the loudest. He might, I might be shouting that much. And honestly, if you had a shot at me, I'll probably look like a gremlin. I'm like, but I don't care because I
yeah,
know that's a difference maker. And the amount of times I used to shout to Yaya, like at the start, because he'd want to be on the wing, and that's where he got his glory, was being an out and out winger. But I'm like, you're playing with me now, so you need to get over there, and you need to stay high up the pitch because the ball's going to land in there, and you're the quickest thing on this pitch. So I guaranteed, you're in a race, you're going to beat anyone, and then
yeah,
you're going to slide under the keeper, and then in the change room, you're going to be smiling like this, guy. Oh my god, and that's what it's about. So I think experience is vital, and it's underestimated. I think because people, I see a lot of managers and coaches these days, you know, oh, they set it all out and it all looks like this, and if we do it, mathematically like this, it equals this. Well, you know, it doesn't, because when you're 2-0 down, what are you going to do then? Your
yeah,
plan's gone. What if your star striker that you're paying X amount to gets injured in preseason? What are you going to
yeah,
do? So I think it's important to just to round off everyone. I think going back to Mansfield Town, that's what obviously the gaffer, Nigel Clough has done unbelievably well with when I went and watched the game versus Birmingham the other day. He's got an unbelievable blend of experience and youth.
Yeah,
Um, and it gives the young boys a chance to have a look at these pros and go, he's played X amount of games in a football league, scored X amount of goals. That's what I want to be like. All right, he's not at the top of his game now, but what's he naturally still doing a lot of? You
yeah,
know, he's communicating. Look at his touches, left foot, right. I'm both footed now. People go, "What foot are you? What foot are you?" I'm like, "I'm both foot." Well, yeah, but the reason I'm both foot is because I practiced every single day after training on both
yeah,
feet. Don't expect it to come naturally. Stay out, do your extras. The goal at Wembley, like I can't wait to do my one-to-one coaching, to be honest, because it's sometimes it's the simple things that I would love to just sort of get lads doing. But you know, I look back on my goal at Wembley for Oxford. All that season, and you can ask the gaffer this, all that season, I was a yard away from the goal, half volleying on my left, half volleying on my right.
yeah,
And then when the ball drops, instinctively, you just make a good connection because all you're looking for is that good connection, and then it comes out instinctively. So it's yeah, I think football and football experience is massive. To be honest, I don't want to sort of have a rant, but I do feel like sometimes it's so easy to get your qualifications in football, um, and you can be fast tracked through, very quickly, and all of a sudden you can be in a really good position, but again, not necessarily the experience that's
yeah,
required. And um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I learned the most out of the game from the likes of Muzz, from the big players that I played with, to be honest with you, watching, and also the good pros, the Chris Burks, the lads that are staying out even at 34, 35 years old, doing their quick feet, practicing their left foot, practicing their right foot. You wonder why the likes of Damari Gray goes and from Birmingham does so well. Well, do you know what it is? Every single trainer session for an hour, he would be running past a mannequin, doing a double step over, and putting it across the 6 yard
yeah,
box. There's no one in the 6 yard box, but
yeah,
he knows that's where he puts it because percentages wise,
yeah,
that's where the striker is going to be.
yeah,
That's the danger area.
yeah.
So the game, it can be very simple, but I feel like it's made difficult sometimes. And again, that's why I can't wait to sort of get to the one-to-one coaching, and hopefully focus on a holistic program that looks like you know uh, making the right decisions in front of goal.
So is that where your career's going now? Are you looking at striker coaching, one on one? Do you see yourself going into, sort of management as well at some point, Greeny? What is the future for you?
At the moment, I'm just the thing is, I went through a bad period when I finished initially. So I needed some time just to sort of like, just let everything kind of sort of even itself out. But I train every day now. I can't. I have to. For my own sort of mind as well. I have to run every day. I do my 5Ks, do my steps, sprints, all that sort of stuff, and also because whoever I am gonna be training one on one, I want them to see someone that is a decent athlete, and in good nick still. And also, I still want to be striking balls and showing them techniques and things like that. So I'm still open to playing football. I'll never turn down a chance to go and play football because I love it. And even if it is standing up there, knocking a few centre ass back. So yeah, I'm thinking get tappers. At all levels. I would never write myself off for playing football yet, but I think for me, it would be more of a focus on a mindset, and a skill set of approaching games and getting your mind right before going into a game, and knowing that you've got that skill set about you, and knowing that a lot of the confidence that I used to get was because I knew I'd done that little bit more than everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
But
um,
having seen the results that you got last year, mate, I can see you being a huge blessing for whatever club ends up employing you in that coaching and development role, Greeny, into the future. You mentioned a few moments ago, and we were watching on Sky and saw you come out to all of the fans for the
Yeah.
Birmingham match and got this amazing reception, which we knew
Oh
you
my
would.
God,
You know,
absolutely loved
as
it.
you think about Mansfield Town, Greeny, what does a club mean to you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think I was crying all the way home, to be honest. Like, because people don't realize that Mansfield were on they're on the brink, and they got 8,000, 10,000, plus Birmingham there the other day. I mean, I experienced it when it was like that, obviously in the big games. But when you walk in now and you're like, wow, this is a proper, this is a big club now, and you see the likes of Nigel Clough as manager, and you see the players on the pitch, the big lad at the back, and Gregory up front and things like that, and you're like, gosh, like it's a proper club now, like big club at that level. I just feel absolutely delighted, to be a part or a piece of the puzzle early on in their history, and the sort of the standing over, the ovation that I got. I wasn't quite sure how it'd work out. I mean, we're going back 12 years now. Bless us, probably a lot of people have passed since then. And a lot's been done, and obviously they've been promoted from League Two to League One. But yeah, it's just brilliant to see the club in such a positive state, and also looking like they can go on again. And now it's sort of coming towards the sort of stage in my career where I'm going back there as a fan. I'm going back there as willing the lads on and want them to go and beat Birmingham there. So it was nostalgic. I put a little bit out on my socials and stuff, but it doesn't really replicate how much of an impact it kind of had on me, because I've been making my way down sort of the levels and things like that, to go back and kind of be honored like that was it was absolutely, it's unforgettable, to be honest.
Yeah.
And again, for the fans to do that for me, it shows that the things that I sorry. It shows that the things that I've done is they're still sort of recognised as being part of the history of the club. So it's just important for me now that I stay connected to clubs that I've done well with, and Mansfield have reached out, yourself have reached out, and it's just important now I stay in the game.
Yeah, 100% Greeny. Well, you've got so much to offer, and it's so important that you do. We're going to take a really quick break before coming back to asking you the
Okay.
signature from the club questions. So, Matt, as you know, as a business, we're all about official signed memorabilia. So these last few questions are all memorabilia related. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So, Greeny, you mentioned earlier you already played with some proper legends in the game. Have you ever asked anyone for their autograph before?
Yes.
Who have you asked?
Robbie Fowler and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank.
Oh, they're good ones to have, aren't
Yeah. Just
they? And what memorabilia do you own, Greeny?
I've got Jamie Carragher's shirt, Pedro's shirt, Wilfred Boney shirt, Nicola Ziggett shirt, Peter Lovenkrantz, Paul Robinson. I love quite a few shirts.
Oh, brilliant. Is that Millwall, Paul Robinson?
Yeah, what a
Paul,
boy. He's a proper
yeah,
eater, him, honestly. What a
yeah.
player. What a
But that was
player.
a tough game, right? He's a hard
Oh,
guy,
I
right?
used to hate playing against Robbo in training. He's only flipping, like, honestly, like I say it, like he's probably, I'd probably say Robbo's the best captain I've ever had. I would say that. He
Yeah.
was a leader of men. No ACL in his left knee, I think. I've never seen someone. He's like a terrier. Like, even at his later days, I used to hate playing against Rob. I'd rather play against Big Dan Burn
Yeah,
who went to Newcastle, who came on
yeah,
loan,
yeah, yeah.
then Robbo, because Robbo pinch, bite, flipping. You think you get past him and it'll just go through you. Yeah, he was horrible. Robbo.
If you could have anyone's autograph, dead or alive, who would you have?
Maradona.
Oh yeah, good one. Is a
Mm,
good one.
yeah.
Brilliant. Well, that's great stuff, Greeny. Before we let you go, first of all, mate, thank you so much for your time. Not
All
only
right.
have I enjoyed it, I know there's going to be a lot of, supporters who are enjoying, rolling back the years and going through your amazing career, and obviously excited about what the future holds for you as well, Matt.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
just before we let you go, let everyone know how they can follow you on social media, and
Yeah.
also let us know any final thoughts that you have.
Yeah, of course. Well, you can follow me. I think my Twitter's uh Matt 10 Green. My Instagram's MJ Green 7, and my Facebook is just Matt Green. I'm currently doing my LinkedIn and my other little bits at the moment. But if you can get me on there, there'll be a lot of different stuff coming through now, and footage and some of my training that I'll be doing myself. So
Ah, amazing. Well, what I'll do, Greeny, is I'm going to go through all of those platforms. I'll make
yeah,
sure I dig out all of the links, and they'll
brilliant.
be in the description below. So wherever you're listening or watching to this interview, make sure that you go and give Matt a follow and say hello and tell him how much you've enjoyed the interview as well. And make sure that he knows that you're cheering him on for whatever comes next. Greeny,
Yeah.
thanks again for your time, mate. Really enjoyed it,
Thank
mate.
you. I've really enjoyed it myself. It's been brilliant looking back, and no, I appreciate it.
Thank you.